Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Tony with RcHelpDotCom. Today we're going to be taking a look at the little XK Edge A430. Now this plane was sent to me by Banggood, but more importantly I wanted this plane to see if this plane could actually teach people how to fly 3D. Anybody that has flown planes for any length of time, they know that these planes that have straight wings right in the middle of the fuselage, they're not a high wing, they're not a low wing. These are more for intermediate flyers, because once you make a movement, it's going to stay there. It's not going to correct itself. It's made to stay exactly at that angle. So I wanted them to send me this plane so that I could go outside and have a little bit of fun with it. You guys have seen the unboxings. You don't need to see me pull this out of a box. Came with a plane, came with a radio, came with a little bag. The landing gears were in here, but the landing gears just pop right off and then get back in the hole. Then they just slide right back in. So the rear is also removable. However, this is not a steerable tail wheel. So if you're taking off from asphalt or concrete or whatever, you're going to have to use the rudder to steer, and that means you're going to have to get some pretty good speed up. As for the radio, this is a Futaba band. It's 2.4 gigahertz, but it's the FHSS band. So this will not work with Spectrum. I know people are going to ask. This will not work with Tyrannus. It will not work with any of them others. It'll work with Futaba. Now, if you have a Tyrannus or whatever and you put a module in it for Futaba, then yes, you can fly this plane with it. It does have two shoulder buttons here. They do nothing at all. They will beep when you push them, but they do nothing. If you push down on the right stick, mode 2, I'm pretty sure mode 1, it'd still be over here on this stick. It'll take you from 3D mode to 6G mode, which it always starts in 6G mode. Over here on this one, if you push down, this is going to be your dual rates, and there's very little movement between the two if you're looking at the control surfaces. When you're in the air, it's a pretty substantial movement difference. But if you notice, I'm pushing here, and that's because with it down here, you cannot push on that stick and make it click. You have to raise the throttle in order to make it click. So I've just always gotten in a habit since I've had this thing of pushing right here just to get it to actuate. These right here are going to be your trims. Here's your aileron, elevator, throttle, and your rudder. And that's pretty much it. It's got your basic screen. Go ahead and turn it on. You guys can see there. You can see the little prop moving. That's because the throttle's not all the way down. So if we push left, you can see the left aileron, push right, right aileron, pull back. You can see the elevator, push forward, you can see the elevator. And then if you look real close, right down here at the bottom, a little bit of rudder, and then of course whenever you throttle up, the light comes on, which is, I don't like that. I don't like that you have to give it throttle for the light to come on. But you can see, you got your throttle percentage, and then the prop kind of flashes back and forth. Go ahead, set that radio to the side. We'll take a look at the plane. Like I said, whenever you get it, these landing gears are not on, and you may have to bend your wheels a little bit. You know, as you can see, they're kind of facing inwards. That one keeps going down like that, but even like that, they're facing inwards. You can grab these little nuts out here on the outside with a pair of pliers, wiggle them, take that off, and bend your wire to wherever you want it. It does have actual servos. I am 99.9% sure these are analog, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. To get your cover off, just pull up on the front, pops right off. I have flown this already, and I have not had a problem with this flying off. Go ahead and pull out the battery. This is a 300 milliamp 2-cell battery. Pretty basic, pretty standard. In here you do have the brushless motor. Everybody has seen this. Everybody's already done the review on these things. And yeah, I mean, it's a brushless motor. It has plenty of power for this plane. If we look up inside it, if I can get that prop out of the way, you're going to see the ESC in there, and it's sitting somewhere back in here. And then somewhere back in this area is going to be your receiver. This does not come off. If you do want to bind it to a Futaba radio, I am pretty sure this is going to be your bind button. You guys can kind of see it there, but push and hold whenever you plug in a battery is what I think you have to do. I don't know. I don't have a Futaba radio. So in this bag here, this is a little goodie bag they give you with it. It comes with your landing gear inside it. You get an extra prop nut, an extra prop with cone, and an extra screwdriver. These cones, don't like them. I've already put this one in once. And I did it whenever I went into 3D mode. And the reason is the resolution isn't too good on this, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But this cone gets bent really, really easy, and then it puts a bunch of vibration into the plane. The gyro doesn't like it. It freaks out. So one of the first mods that I would do to this plane is knock that cone off. Don't even use it. So we've taken a look at the goodie bag. I did order this from the USA warehouse. Right here is the charger for the battery. It's just a standard balance charger. Not sure why it's this big, because they have smaller ones. But they shipped it with this power supply. This don't work. This was shipped from the US warehouse. So I don't understand this. So what I want to do, I want to show you guys some of the things it does. Always safety first. We're going to take this prop off. It's just a single screw right in the middle, Phillips screw, long-winded. Go ahead and pull that off, and then grab your motor. Don't just try to hold here and start pulling, because this does move a little bit. And then pull your prop off. As you can see, no prop. One problem that this did have straight out of the box, these screws right here on the motor were actually contacting the foam right here. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know if they just didn't get it pushed back far enough or what the deal was, but it was hitting. Doesn't hinder the performance at all, but it was in fact hitting. So we're going to take the battery, we're going to shove it in there. We are going to pull our radio over here, go ahead and turn it on, make sure throttle's down. Go ahead and plug it in. And that's it. Now it's initialized. Everything's golden. So the issue I have with this is the resolution. Before we get into that, let's just take a look at some of the controls. Right here is your rudder, and this is why I pulled the prop off. If you move the rudder and you don't have that prop off, I'm pushing down and to the right. You see that jumping? That's actually there to help you take off. So we'll go to the left and do the same thing. I'm pulling down and I'm just going to push left. Before you get to full rudder deflection, it starts the motor. And the reason for that is these rounded edges down here on the sticks. So be mindful of that. If you try to do any kind of rudder movement, it's going to try to ride up that wall, and it's going to start the motor. Now once you start the motor, you guys may have heard whenever I was moving it, it does activate the gyro. As you can see, my elevator is all the way up, and I can't put it back down. Another thing, whenever you move the ailerons, the rudder moves. So this is a true one stick flyer. You don't have to use rudder on this. Now why that elevator is staying there and I have no elevator control is very weird. So as you see, the elevator is stuck there, and now it's just freaking out. I'm not even touching it, and it's sitting here freaking out. That's I don't know what that, I didn't have that problem whenever I was flying it. So what we're going to do now is full deflection, and then I'm going to push in on the throttle. There it goes again. I didn't even touch anything yet. But I'm going to do full aileron deflection, and then I'm going to push in on the throttle. And let's see. Yeah, you guys can see it there. Go ahead and push in. There's your high rates. There's your low rates. High rate, low rate. And as you can see, the elevator is still not working. So let's go ahead, push down on the right stick. That's going to put us in 3D mode, which is going to center that elevator. I think that's a takeoff thing. I'm not sure. Yeah. But so here, full elevator deflection. Go ahead and go into high rates. There's your high rate, low rate. All right. And as you saw there, I was moving the stick. I'm getting nothing out of this thing. Interesting. So this brings me into the negative of this plane, and why I think if you are wanting to learn 3D, the way this sits right now is not the plane to learn 3D on. And it's because of, I mean, look at how jumpy this is. I'll move the sticks nice and smooth. Okay, flipping into the next rate. That right there is why I crashed this plane and why that nose cone was messed up. It does have a gyro whenever it is in 3D mode, and it's just a stability gyro. It's to keep the wind from buffering it, which in the flight video, which I'm fixing to show, you'll see the wind buffering this thing pretty good. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the flight footage. This is the Maiden flight. It's the first time I ever flew this thing, and this is how it went. I have larger Edge 540s. I have a 55 inch and I have a 40 inch. Both of them are balsa. They're both electric. I can fly them just fine. I also have an extra 260. I have a Rogue 3D biplane. I've obviously got the RcHelp Edge 540 that you guys can download by clicking on the link down in the description. And I do not have a problem flying any of those like I do this one whenever I'm trying to be smooth on the sticks. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the flight footage. That jittering is exactly why I crashed it the first time. The second time I crashed it, I'm pretty sure that was me just trying to fly too slow, and then you know, the wind was kind of buffering back and forth coming over the trees, so these little guys don't like that kind of wind. And the last time I crashed it, whenever we were done flying, I was just seeing how slow it would go, and it went in. No damage other than that little cone right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the flight footage, and then we'll come back and we'll do a final assessment of this little guy. Alright, pay attention to the way this thing sounds right here, because we're going to compare that a little bit later. Now right here, all I'm doing is checking the trim, and this thing was absolutely trimmed out from the factory. It's flying perfectly straight. I did have to cut a little bit out there. Sorry about that. That's my grandmother's umbrella. You can see where it is now located and what the storms have done to it. And also, I'm going to be shaking my head in this. And the reason I'm shaking my head is because of tiny little wasps that they're flying all around. And they were bugging the crap out of me. But most of this flight is going to be done in the 6G mode with a 6-axis gyro, self-stabilization. It doesn't let you pitch too much and all that. But I am going to flip it into 3D mode, and just like I talked about a little bit ago, it's going to freak out on me. So here I believe I am in, no, here I'm still in the 6G. But yeah, just flying around. The audio on this camera absolutely sucks. It does not pick up, you know, these really quiet planes like this. There I just went into 3D mode. Trying to get used to it, but this thing, it's snapping all over the place. It would snap 90 degrees and crash. So go ahead and cut a little bit out. This is what I saw when I walked up to it. And yeah, I was checking everything, making sure everything is alright. There's a little dent there in the cowl. It pops right back on. But whenever I go to spool it up, listen. Yeah. That's why I say to take that nose cone off, because once it gets bent, there is no getting it back. I was moving the motor right there, and the motor does move inside this thing. So listen to this. Yeah. A foam nose cone can cause that much vibration. It's insane. So here I'm just flying around in a circle trying to, just feel this thing out. Was it damaged? Is the gyro freaking? And the gyro, I noticed a little bit of a difference. Not too awful bad, but yeah, just take that nose cone off. Seriously. That was me. I was trying to fly too slow. I had full up elevator, and I just tried to power take off, and yeah, that don't work with these small wheels on grass. But pick it up, watch how I launch it here. Gone. That's what that little bit of up elevator does whenever it's in 6G mode and you throttle up on it. So I'm gonna start walking towards the house here and just flying around, and right now I'm like, how slow can I get this plane? How slow will it fly? Can we fly this plane in closed areas? Can we fly it in, like a backyard or something? Of course, most people's backyards aren't going to look like my front yard, but I try to at least see if I can fly it in that area. Right now, I am still in low rates. That right there is all the banking that it will do. You'll see right there, I pulled full up elevator. I had to power out of it. It powered out of it fantastically. And I want to tell you, this plane, if you're a beginner that's wanting to get into airplanes, you can fly this thing. I mean, it flies perfectly level, hands off, perfectly level. If you drop the throttle, it's going to start to come out of the sky, but it's going to try to save it. Here I'm just circling around trying to, oh no, I put it back into 3D mode, and I'm trying to play with it here, trying to feel it out, and then all of a sudden I almost lose it right here. I flip it right there back into 6G, and I'm climbing as hard as I can. I'm over my neighbor's house across the street, and I can barely see this airplane, but I had to hold full back elevator to get it over them trees and to get it brought back to me. And I was very surprised that I was able to get this thing back. So here, just trying to get nerves back under control. I mean, this thing, it doesn't make you shake too awful bad, but when you almost lose a plane, a little adrenaline starts going. And then here in just a little bit, I'm going to kick this thing into high rate. That's still low rate right there, and you can see how slow it's flying. And again, this is my first flight with this thing. I pulled it out of the box, I charged the battery, I went outside and flew since there was almost no wind. Right there, I'm shaking my head because of these bugs. You'll see them in the camera here in just a little bit. There's one. And you can hear that motor just buzzing. I mean, it's not happy with that nose cone still on there. Almost ate dirt right there. There's another bug. I was trying to see if I could slow down to the speed of that car, but yeah. This plane wants to carry a little bit of speed. Powered back out of it there. Like I say, this thing's got power. It's got plenty of power for its size. Another bug. And here, I believe somewhere in here I put it into high rates, and I was seeing just how much alpha I could get out of it. But as you can see, I mean, it's flying nice and slow, nice and stable. That was way closer to me than it looked in the camera. I believe here in just a few seconds is where Yeah, I go a little too slow. But I mean, close quarter flying like this is just tons of fun. I really wish, yeah, see, I'm in high rates there. I really wish that this thing had better resolution on the servos and didn't try to snap like it did. So, a little bit of a downdraft, got a little bit too slow, but I'm gonna tell you, this thing is an absolute blast. Alright, let's go back inside. Alright, so my thoughts on this plane. When this thing is in 6G mode, it does phenomenal. You can fly this thing slow, you can fly it in a small area. It has plenty of power to pull out of just about anything. I do wish they would give you a little bit more banking and a little bit more elevation to get it out of trouble. The prop on it seems adequate. Take that nose cone off, because that nose cone, it's going to put vibration into this airplane. The motor being a little bit loose, that's kind of a little bit of a negative. The jerky controls when you're in 3D mode, that is a huge negative. That's what I hoped would not happen. So one question that I know I'm going to get asked is, can a beginner fly this plane? My answer is a resounding yes. If you fly in 6G mode, a beginner can fly this plane. Everybody else that's done reviews on these say intermediate and up. And 3D mode, I highly agree with that. That is a perfect statement for 3D mode. 6G mode, this is ready for a beginner. It is so stable in flight. You can stick bang the crap out of it. It's going to stay in the air. It's not going to let you overreact. And it's going to teach you some of the characteristics of this airplane. In 3D mode, I do think the resolution of the radio is a very severe limiting factor because of that jerkiness of all the control surfaces. But if you're just starting out and you love 3D airplanes, I think this one is worth the purchase. It's less than $100 and it comes ready to fly. It only comes with one battery. That's kind of a downer, but these batteries are getting cheaper and cheaper every day. The radio, a little small in the hand, but it does work for what it is. In future videos, I'm going to be cutting this top off the plane. Hopefully we're going to be able to take this receiver out and put a Spectrum receiver in here and put this plane on my DX9. So if you guys want to see that and you're not subscribed, guys, click that subscribe button, ring that bell so you know when the video comes out. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Questions, comments, suggestions, post them in the comments section below. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.